Hello, everyone. This is The Business Buzz, a collaboration between 9 News and the Denver Business Journal to bring you news, perspective, and insights on what's happening in business, the economy, and the policies that can affect us all. I'm Ryan Frazier, 9 News business expert and CEO of Frazier Global, here with Ed Sealover, senior reporter with the Denver Business Journal. We would bring you a few topics each show that matter to the business world and matter to you. Today we have 3 topics. Ed, shall we get going?
Let's do it.
All right. Topic 1. Denver Mayoral Forum, where businesses meets City Hall. The DBJ held a forum with many of the top mayoral candidates on January 19th, with business issues at the center of nearly every discussion by the 24 individuals seeking to lead the city. Ed, there are the big 3 issues put forward by every campaign, which give us the rundown. Tell us what's happening, what you got from this forum.
Yeah, you're going to hear mayoral candidates talk about different issues that they want to favor, but everyone is talking about public safety, everyone is talking about homelessness, everyone is talking about affordable housing. What we're starting to see now is not just the idea that we want more public safety, we want to reduce homelessness, we want more affordable housing, but some specific ideas that are coming out of this. On public safety, I think there is a general agreement among all the top mayoral candidates. We want to hire and recruit more police officers. You're seeing specific numbers like Michael Johnson saying, I want 200 more police officers, and I want 50% of the incoming cadet class to be female to more reflect the population of the city. You're seeing people like Leslie Herod say, I want more investigators. But people are also caught up in this, and they're saying to reinvigorate downtown, we need not just more police presence, but we need more people downtown. So Kelly Brough, for example, is saying we need to give tax credits to businesses that are going to convert office space into residential space. These are some of the ideas that are starting to come out on that issue in particular.
Right. From the forum, because this is so important to Denver's future, to our regional economy, were there any striking differences that stood out to you between the candidates in terms of, obviously I didn't hear anything about defund the police, so there's no one moving down that path.
Nobody's going there.
I think they realize crime and public safety is a big issue for everybody, including business. But was there any issues or areas where you saw a notable or comparable difference?
Yeah, it was interesting. On homelessness, for example, Kelly Brough was the only one of the 5 candidates that we invited to the forum, which included Brough, Michael Johnson, Debbie Ortega, Chris Hansen, and Leslie Herod, who said, look, we are going to ban urban camping. Well, technically, Denver's already banned urban camping. So what it sounded like she was saying is, we're actually going to enforce our urban camping ban. Everyone else seemed to talk about it in different ways, saying we need to get resources to them, we need to keep doing what we're doing, and especially with the STAR program that's going to send social workers out to help cases that are not criminal, people who are downtown. But that was a distinct difference in what Kelly is putting forth and what others are putting forth. On housing, too, there's a lot of different ideas going into this. You see a lot of people saying we need to use city land, city-owned land, to put up duplexes, to put up apartments, to put up affordable housing for people. People are going at it in different ways. We are seeing ideas such as Debbie Ortega wants to bring in a modular home building factory to really quickly churn out new houses and get them onto the blocks there. And we're wanting to see things like Michael Johnson saying, I think we can put 24,000 new units out there in the next 4 years, and we're going to do it by providing some of the equity that these people need to build up and afford to be able to buy these homes.
All important issues, obviously, addressing crime in Denver, housing, homelessness. I'm curious, Ed, was there any discussion about making it easier to do business in Denver? Because I hear that a lot. As a business owner myself, I can relate. But was there any discussion about making it easier to do business in the city of Denver?
Absolutely. One of the key things that we were going to ask, and the question I planned to ask was, hey, do you think Denver needs to speed up its permitting system? By the time we got to that topic, it was very clear it was not an if, but exactly how it needs to do it. You're hearing things like Leslie Herod saying, we're going to set a time limit, maybe about 6 months, where if we go beyond that in the permitting, Denver will take up half the costs that are being incurred by the delays in some of these developments. Michael Johnson saying, we will have 90 days to finish permitting, and if you come back and you do all the things that Denver permitters ask you to do, we will not ask you to do anything more, which may sound like a straightforward idea. That's not how it happens now. You'll see people going back 7 and 8 times with different things coming back to them. And some of the permitting is dragging out to 18 months, which is keeping our housing supply low and which is making everything more expensive. So that was one key way in which everyone was talking about making it easier to do business in Denver, is actually put up the buildings that they are asking for permission to build or to renovate.
Very important topic. I hear it a lot talking with the folks in the business community. It needs to be addressed. Making business-friendly policies in the city of Denver has to be a part of their platform. Okay, now the field of candidates will be whittled down. How is the business community reacting in 30 seconds, Ed, so we can move on to the next topic here?
I think the business community is intensely tuned into this because what we're talking about here are all business issues. And I think you're seeing people slowly starting to give money, slowly tuning into this, but the field is going to come down from 27 right now to probably closer to a dozen or so in the next couple of weeks. And I think then people are really going to start jumping in saying, I know what it is, let's pick a candidate.
All right, well, we'll watch for what happens over the weeks and months ahead. Topic 2, strip club giant plans massive investment in Colorado. Houston-based strip club company plans to invest between $50 million and $80 million in Colorado over the next 2 years, including multiple sports bars and reinventing vacant Central City property to include a casino and cabaret. Ed, you are the only member of the local media to sit down with CEO Eric Langan. Tell us more.
Well, the reason people should care about this is a massive investment from an out-of-state company. This is a Houston company, RCI Hospitality Holdings, the largest publicly owned adult entertainment company in America. And it's going to affect multiple parts of this area. Now, the reason this came to our attention is Eric Langan and RCI had bought Grange Hall. It was a food hall. It is a food hall in Greenwood Village. And I thought that's a very odd addition to a portfolio that is almost exclusively adult entertainment clubs right now. So I sat down with him and talked about it. And he said the reason they looked at that is they have a restaurant called Bombshells. And think about this as a military-themed Hooters, if you will, that they are expanding quickly across Texas, and they are now moving out to other states with it. And they have actually gotten a location in Aurora. They're going to be at Southlands, where they're going to put their first location up here. And they had looked at this as a possible second location. However, he actually said, once we got into it, we saw the food hall and we saw how it worked, we decided this is a good concept. In fact, this is a concept we may be able to replicate across the country. So we're going to keep it there. We're going to liven it up. There's going to be DJs brought in for some late night things, but that's what really caught my attention. But those are just the small investments they're really making here.
Yeah, and you know, it sounds like they're going after military or defense contractors with that particular theme. Now, you pointed out also in your article the growing presence of Colorado's tech industry and its highly compensated workers, many of whom remain single into their 30s, as a key market feeding their investment thesis. Now, I have to ask you, from your conversations with Eric, is there not enough strip clubs serving the area, whether it be here in the Denver Aurora area or whether it be up in mountain towns? Is there not enough serving the market? Do they really think that there's a need and a market for more strip clubs?
Well, they already own 5 strip clubs here in Denver, places like Diamond Cabaret and La Boheme. But the interesting thing is they're not really expanding their strip club properties here. They think they can bring this kind of sexy entertainment gathering like a Bombshells to a bigger audience by not necessarily having people who are walking around naked. And one of their key things for that is opening the Cabaret, Rick's Cabaret and Casino, up in Central City. This is a $2.4 million buy that's going to turn into probably a $10 million plus investment by the time it opens by the end of this year. And what they're saying is Central City is a vastly underserved market right now. It's a place where you could have people flying in from across the country to gamble and to do entertainment. But right now, what does it lack? In Black Hawk, it lacks a lot of entertainment. It's go up there and you might eat in a nice restaurant, you might gamble. What else are you going to do? They think they can help to revitalize this. And these are some of the crowds they think they can call up there. The people who have more time and more money on their hands who may want to go to a strip club, may want to go to a Bombshells, or may want to drive up into the mountains to do some gambling. And that's where he thinks he could put as many as 2 other clubs up there. Maybe one's going to be a traditional sports book and bring in some entertainment, and that's where he thinks these people really need and are really going to be attracted to go out to.
It'll be interesting. So what I'm hearing, Ed, is not so much making it rain more, but more so sexy, making more sexy the bar scene in and around the Denver area and up in the mountains. That's what I'm kind of hearing. He thinks there's a market for it. He thinks that there's a population of people who would really find that attractive. So I guess we'll see. What do you think? What's to come? What's next?
I mean, we really want to watch what happens with Rick's cabaret. This is the most significant investment in Central City in a very long time. And if he is going to follow this up by A, bringing in others who might put up entertainment venues or even other casinos up there, or B, investing in 2 more casinos himself, that's going to be a huge shot that we haven't seen up there. This is happening while Blackhawk is going through its own sort of renaissance. It's bringing in a whiskey resort that's going to go on the outskirts of town. And we might see this actually become the destination gaming town that people have long dreamed about but has never really turned out to be.
All right, well, we're going to see if that works. If there's a market for it, certainly, I support it because if it's what people want, I think it's important that businesses be allowed to do what people want, so long as it's ethical and legal and all that good stuff. So let's round it out for today. Well, our favorite topic, topic 3, the intersection of business and politics. Colorado's legislature has kicked in. What business bills are in the mix? That's a question we're all asking. Now, as the legislature gets to work, there is a lot of uncertainty with both the direction of our regional economy as well as what may come from lawmakers this session. Can't underestimate or underscore how important this is. Ed, what can you tell us about what's happening down in the early developments with the legislature, business?
I think one of the key things was looking at what Governor Jared Polis said in his State of the State address, which I think most people will tell you was the most ambitious State of the State address he'd made of the 5 in his career so far. Polis came out and he said, we are going to go after healthcare costs. He's gone after them in various ways. He literally pointed straight at the hospital insurance and prescription drug industries and said, we're coming after you, particularly nonprofit hospitals, where he said, we're going to make sure that you are giving your community benefits, and if not, we're going to see how we make sure that's going to happen. He talked about water in a way he's never talked about before. This is a key business issue, particularly for agriculture, but also for any business that wants to see people come in here and populate the area, about preserving our water and possibly building more water storage. He alluded to that and got kind of a mixed response from his own caucus. That's a big Republican issue that he may be siding with them on. And the biggest issue is affordable housing. He spent a good 25% of his speech talking about affordable housing and talking about it as a statewide problem. Now, that may not sound like a bridge too far, but here's why that's important. Housing has always been a local issue in this state. Cities and counties control zoning. They control permitting. They control what goes where. And Polis basically sent a shot across the bow saying, it's time that we get everything built. We get things built more quickly, and we get things built on transit-oriented development lines in this state. And if local counties can't do that, we're going to find a way to step in and do it. And
yeah, so what I'm hearing is healthcare, water and agriculture, and housing were 3 kind of the primary issues that the governor touched on. Is it your sense that the legislature, being controlled by Democrats, are aligned with wanting to, whether they agree with the actual policy, agree with those priority areas?
I would think so. And I think both the Democrats and Republicans agree with the affordable housing policy. It's a question of exactly how you're going to go after it. I mean, Polis did throw out some things that maybe the legislature didn't agree with. Polis talked about cutting the income tax further. His own party, not real wild about that idea so far. Polis talked about, this one is more of a across the board. He talked about workforce development, putting $70 million toward getting people free tuition in careers like nursing or in construction that are badly in need of people. And he talked about even setting up a scholarship fund for the class of 2024 graduating from high school to get those folks trained and into jobs quickly to deal with our labor shortage. That is something I think everybody's aligned with.
And there's no lack of issues, from everything, as you mentioned, affordable housing to water and agriculture to addressing healthcare to tourism and education to transportation. The list goes on. They're going to have their priorities set, and all these things can impact and influence our business community, the attractiveness of the region, and the ability ultimately for us to thrive in the months and years ahead. So we all can say this at this point. It's early days, so much more to come. What are the things you'll be monitoring at the DBJ over the next few months?
Well, we're going to be watching what kind of regulations are coming. Now, Polis did not say in his speech, I'm really hoping to up regulations on employers, but we're already seeing examples of that. There's a bill that's going to be dropping anytime soon that basically says that restaurants and retailers must schedule workers 2 weeks in advance. This goes completely against the business model of restaurant and retailers, who now have workers changing shifts all the time, calling them in early, letting them leave early, depending on what things are going on. This would set some pretty stiff, severe penalties financially if they don't follow this new rule. And you're already seeing restaurants and retail saying, I don't know that we can handle this. This is one more burden, one more cost on 2 industries that are already suffering at this point. So we're going to watch and see what kinds of bills come out like that are going beyond the, hey, let's help everybody, and are saying, no, we're going to put these rules in place that some people will agree with and some people will very severely disagree with.
I think what I'll be monitoring, I think as we continue to see the economy take shape in 2023, looking like we're going to at least enter a slowdown over the next few months before hopefully things pick back up. And while inflation may be slowing down, it's still relatively high. The tightness in the labor markets persist, as well as supply chain challenges that I think a lot of businesses, small and large alike, continue to face. How does the governor and the legislature ensure that they're engaging with the business community, and whether it be the grass tops leaders, but also the grassroots small business owners, to ensure their voice is truly being heard and reflected in this policymaking legislative process? That's one thing I'll be looking for, because I think it's so essential to making sure we get it right, is having all the stakeholders at the table. With that, Ed, I think that's all we got for now. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on the Business Buzz. For 9 News, I'm Ryan Frazier, and for Ed Sealover with the Denver Business Journal. Till next time.